Finals in Philadelphia. This is the practice day press conference for Purdue University. Joining us are student athletes Jaden Ivey, Edey, and Trevion Williams. Reminder that we will take questions from the media room, ask you to state your name and affiliation first. And welcome to Philadelphia and the NCAA Tournament. We are now open to questions for the student athletes.
Brian Newbert from goldenblack.com. Guys, for whoever wants this, are there any challenges that come with kind of playing a Cinderella, somebody who's obviously drawing a lot of attention for the run they're making?
Let's start. Could you start, please?
Just with that, I feel like, they have a lot of confidence in themselves. It's every team, you play in the tournament you respect. Just going into the game, we just got to be locked in and ready. I believe we are.
Zach?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams underestimated them. They kind of doubted their ability because of the number next to their name, but we're coming to this game like we're playing the 2 seed because they beat the 2 seed. So we just have to have that mentality that they're a really good team and that we have to respect them.
Austin Petalolo, Trend the Philly Hoop. Zach, they don't really have a ton of size, or at least 7-footers like you. What do you have to do to kind of take advantage of that?
Yeah, it's kind of been the thing for these last 2 teams. They haven't really had the size to match up, so just kind of dominating the offensive glass, getting my shots off, drawing a lot of fouls, because that's what they have to do to guard me. Just kind of keep playing like I have the last 2 games, and hopefully it works.
Chris Murray, Philadelphia Sunday Sun. And any one of you guys can take this question. Much has been said about them coming in. They have a huge chip on their shoulders and all that. Is that the mentality that you guys have? I mean, I've read where you guys have been hungry to make this run through the Big Ten, through the NCAA tournament, especially coming out of a rough conference like the Big Ten.
Trevion, could you start?
Yeah, definitely, man. If you just look at the past couple years, seeing what we've been through, obviously my freshman year making it to the Elite 8 and being 5 seconds away from a Final Four. And then my sophomore year, with COVID and, just things we had to kind of win out to kind of make the tournament. And then my junior year, COVID, and then now we were back in this position. So, man, it's just a tough thing to deal with. But you've looked at the past couple of years and you've slipped up. You've came short. Whether it's you've lost in the first round or something off the court. But man, just looking at the position we've been put in multiple times, we just can't let it slip away. So we've always been right there. We just got to get it. So.
Tom Bruce, Sports Illustrated, Purdue. Trevion, Purdue's been to 4 Sweet 16s now in the last 5 years. Is what most is gained from there in regards to not necessarily dealing with the games last weekend and this weekend, but just sort of handling that in-between time in regards to getting those, just going from one week to the next and keeping it flowing more like a regular season type of thing?
It's been a lot of positivity, within our locker room. I would say, usually when we go back home, we watch a lot of film, we get off our feet, we get a lot of shots up, and we've been kind of just keeping that same routine. Coach has been taking bits and pieces out of the games we've played, and he looks at the good, he looks at the bad, and we just kind of move forward from there. But everything is pretty straightforward. It's all about staying positive and who can play well together at this time of year. So.
Hey, Trevion, Greg Doyle from the Indy Star. There's only one kind of Cinderella really here, and you're playing it. And I heard what Zach said about playing, they're like a 2 seed because they beat a 2 seed. How do you balance the fact that people think you should win with you guys knowing they just beat a 2 seed, so it won't be that easy, and yet it's like a vicious cycle?
Yeah, man, you just gotta, I think our mindset going into this tournament or just coming to Philly, just treating every team like they're the best team in the tournament. They're here for a reason, and like he said, you gotta respect them. We've already, like I said, if you just look at what we've been through, as a team, we losing in the first round in North Texas, nobody expected that. But, I don't think we respected them. I don't think we were as ready as we thought we were. and we're kind of in a similar situation where people look at the matchup and like, oh, Purdue's supposed to win, but in reality, man, you can be beat on any given night. So it's all about respecting them, also having fun and just taking care of the basketball.
Felix?
Felix from Huddle Post. This question is for Jaden. Jaden, are you more nervous about your mom's matchup with Notre Dame, their Sweet 16 matchup, or your matchup on Friday night versus St. Peter's?
To answer that, I'm not nervous at all. I put a lot of work in, to get here, to be on a great team like this, and I'm not nervous. And my mom's been in the same situation. She's been in a lot of tournament games where she's lost, and she's won a tournament game. She's won a national championship. So I don't think she's nervous at all either.
Here in the front.
Alexa Ross, CBS Sport, Fox 59. Guys, there's another level to the Cinderella team. They're 93 miles away from their school. So they can pack a place like you guys pack Mackey. It is obviously a lot bigger, but what challenges does that face for you, knowing that they will have a pretty predominantly home crowd here?
You good? Or Zach?
Yeah, I think coming from the Big Ten, we're used to loud crowds. It's not nothing crazy for us. I think Big Ten has some of the loudest stadiums in the country. Like just playing these last two games, even though they're March Madness games, I would say most of our Big Ten conference games were louder. So it's not really like the crowd doesn't play a factor for us, just coming from where we in our conference.
Taylor Tannenbaum, WTHR in Indy. Trevion, this is for you. I talked to Carson and Ryan Klein last night, and they both said how cool it is to watch you guys when you were role players back then, last time you made this run, to now, you guys being the leaders. How much different is it for you in this role now, knowing what you've been through, but applying that and being in that role that they were once in when you made that Sweet 16 Elite Eight run?
Man, it was obviously a pleasure to go through that my freshman year. You don't walk in as a freshman and think you're going to go that far, or you don't think that your minutes or how you contribute is going to play a part in how far we go. You just kind of had to be ready, and when your number was called. So, like you said, you have so much coming at you as a freshman. Like I said, I didn't expect for us to be so successful, but just looking back on it and being in the position now, I'm just happy to be here. I kind of know what to expect. These guys have been through it, losing the first round. So, everybody's got their own piece of how it feels to win and lose, and I think now we're at the point where we're just kind of like putting it together. So,
Adam in the back.
Adam Kilgore with the Washington Post. I'm hoping I could ask this of Trevion and Zach. Purdue has such a good recent lineage of big men. What makes Purdue such a good place for a big man to play? And if I could ask specifically to Zach, there's been some guys at Purdue who are even taller than a typical 7-footer. Matt and Isaac, obviously. Is there something about their system that is, really suits a player like that? Thanks.
Yeah, it's really just the way that we play on offense and the way that we play on defense. On offense, we really try to stress getting the ball inside, even in practice. It's not just in the game. Like every day, they're stressing for us to get post touches, for us to get comfortable with the ball down low, for us to make the right reads out of double teams, stuff like that. We have great coaches, obviously, with Coach Brantley, Coach Painter. They really know how to develop big people because they've been through it with a bunch of big people. Just working on the fundamentals. It's not like we do anything really crazy. I don't do anything crazy. Isaac really never did anything crazy. Matt doesn't do anything crazy. Trevion, he does some crazy stuff, but it still works. But like, it's really just keeping it fundamental, keeping it and keeping it simple for the most part for me.
Stupid, dude.
I just kind of to bounce off that. I think most importantly for our coaches, they do stress to get the ball down low, and sometimes the big man game gets forgotten about, in today's world. So I would say outside of basketball, I think the one thing that separates our coaches from other coaches is how well they can communicate with the person rather than the player. They take time to get to know you and understand you as a person, and I think it makes it easier on the court. So.
Jaden, you seem to be another guard in the line of dynamic Purdue guards that seem to make a name for themselves in March, such as Carson Edwards. I don't know if you have a relationship with him or any of the other guys, but do you ever really talk to them, kind of get advice from them, knowing that they've been here before?
Yeah. I really started to build kind of a relationship with Carson over the past year. We just, he wished me good luck the first round. I really, got to know him. And obviously, seeing him play, he's one of the reasons why, I came to Purdue. Just seeing how he, helped his team win and, led them. I really, looked at that it played in, my decision on coming here. Yeah, I definitely still, keep in contact with him.
This is for Rob Doster with Field of 68. This is for Jaden. You have someone on either side of you that should be an all-conference center. You can't play two centers at the same time. To see them sacrifice minutes and sacrifice accolades and sacrifice numbers, what has that impact been like on the Purdue roster and the Purdue team as a whole?
I think, it's big. Obviously, these two guys, sitting beside me, they're great players and they work really hard. Regardless of what, type of accolades that they get or they don't get, I still love, playing with them. And, I know, on a daily basis, they're going to give it their all. Just playing with them is so much fun. And, I just love being around them.
Thanks, bro.
I'd like to go to questions from Zoom. We'll go to Anna Label. Jen, could you help us with that? Go ahead, Anna.
Hello, I'm Anna with Sports Illustrated Kids, and I was just wondering, throughout the highs and lows of this season, how do you feel your team has stayed consistent to help you get to this point in the season as you hope to reach Purdue's 6th Elite Eight appearance?
Could you repeat that again, Anna, please?
Sure. I'm Anna Lively with Sports Illustrated Kids. I was just wondering, throughout the highs and lows of this season, how do you feel your team has stayed consistent to help you get to this point as you hope to reach Purdue's 6th career Elite Eight appearance?
I definitely think it's about staying together. I think every team goes through adversity at some point in their season, and we hit adversity. We hit a couple losses on buzzer beaters, and we've had a lot of stuff happen. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's about staying together and just having fun on the court. We sometimes when teams lose, they kind of forget about the good from those games, and we've been mostly working on just trying to put it all together. And that's how you kind of have to go about it. You got to take the good and the bad and trying to figure out a way to keep improving. Coach tells us all the time, we still haven't reached our ceiling. Some teams in this tournament have reached their ceiling. We still have a lot of room to improve, and it shows. If we take care of the basketball, there's a lot more to us.
I think we have time for one more, so we'll go to OJ on Zoom. Go ahead,
yes, this question is for, this is a two-part question for Jaden. With you being known, part of your game being above the rim, do you anticipate St. Peter's to have a game plan to try to kind of keep you grounded or try to keep you out of the paint? And also, with both of you and your mom, Coach Ivey, competing in the tournaments, what do you guys do to interact with each other for encouragement?
I feel like the Texas game, that their game plan was, try to get me out of the rhythm early. I felt like, my teammates, stepped up big, and, when I got the ball, I tried to, make plays for my teammates because I knew, Texas was going to be, heavy on, stopping me and, trying to, limit, my paint touches. And I feel like, my teammates stepped up, and, I'm just going to keep going to that, utilizing my teammates and, getting them involved early, so we can, withstand the game and, try to, get a win And then, secondly, it's just a blessing to be able to, play here and, having, my mother, being a Sweet 16, it's just a blessing from God. And, we're just going to, keep going and, see how far we can go.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Wish you the best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
You're dismissed. Thank you. Our next press conference will be with Purdue head coach Matt Painter momentarily. Again, reminders, silence the cell phones. Also, provide your name and media affiliation, and remember that there is no video recording of these press conferences. Satellite coordinates are posted in the workroom. Again, ask us if you need help locating them. Recording of the press conference will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts of this and every press conference will be provided by ASAP, and once this is concluded, this press conferences will be posted shortly. We do appreciate your cooperation and your attendance. Following this press conference, the next one will be North Carolina coach Hubert Davis at 12:50, followed by the North Carolina players. And then at 2:05, UCLA's players, followed by Coach Mick Cronin at 2:20. You're Chris. You're welcome to make an opening statement, unless you otherwise, we can just open the floor to questions.
We'll open the floor.
Let's ready to go.
Is this on? Austin Petalolo, Trend Philly Hoops. Matt, heading into this weekend, and given the way the bracket is kind of shaped out, and I know you can't look at the numbers of the seeds, but with this team, do you feel like there's an added sense of pressure to kind of get over that hump and get to New Orleans?
Not really. I mean, obviously, it's a goal of ours to continue to win and, hopefully get to a Final Four. But if you just keep it process-based and, you're playing a very competitive team that's had 2 great wins, which I think everybody can say, in the Sweet 16. But I think just keeping our focus there, I'm just impressed with St. Peter's. I'm impressed with how hard they play, how competitive they are. They got guys that come off the bench that are starters. They're deep. They're well coached. And so, we're going to have our hands full there. I think the NCAA tournament, I know the numbers speak for themselves because the higher number normally advances, but that's what makes this special in March Madness. And it's about matchups. And so, we'll see if this is a good matchup for us. Like, you can look on paper and dissect it all you want, but once you get out there and, if our competitive spirit's better than theirs, we're going to give ourselves a really good chance. If it's not, then they're going to have the advantage there.
Over here, Coach. Coley Harvey, ESPN. Kind of along those lines, what is the message you tell your team about staying locked in despite what the number is next to the other team's name?
Yeah, it really doesn't affect us. I think we can beat anybody in the country, and if we turn the ball over, I think we can get beat by a lot of people. I think we've shown both of those areas, and their ability to turn people over is really good. So we got to be able to handle their pressure, and they might be 6'7", but Ndefu is going to block your shot. But they're fast, they're quick, they keep people in front of them, they play passing lanes. My college coach always said good players can be in 2 places at one time, and I realized then I wasn't a very good player at that moment. But they have a lot of people that can be in 2 places at one time. They're active. They're all over the place. So it's not about numbers. It's about matchups. And we just have to focus on ourselves and taking care of the basketball, but also understand what they're trying to do. He's got some real good packages of what they do offensively, and he really uses his personnel. He spreads you out. He drives it. They got quick hitters for threes. They'll backdoor you. He does a good job, man. He's a really good coach.
Coach, over here.
Thank you.
Felix from HUD Post. So St. Peter's Shaheen Holloway mentioned that he has players from New Jersey and New York, that they're not scared of anything. What do you have to say about your group of guys heading into Friday night?
Well, I think we have a lot of experience. Our 3 seniors played in an Elite 8 game and came 0.3 of a second from going to a Final Four when they were freshmen. We've been a little bit all over the map. Last year we were 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, got knocked off in the first round. The year before that we would have had to win probably a couple games in our Big Ten tournament at least to get in the NCAA tournament. As freshmen, those guys won the league. This year we came up a little bit short in our tournament or whatever. So we have good experience. We have good skill, have good athleticism. We got a dynamic guard in Jaden Ivey. Got good leadership from our seniors, good size. So just really playing to our strengths. I think what he's really lent into is that competitive spirit that I was talking about. Like St. Peter's has got a great competitive spirit about them, and that's what you need. That's what you need to win games, and obviously they're talented, and that's what we have to be able to do. You have to be able to play harder and play smarter than your opponent. I know that's a little hokey, but it's true, and I think that's going to be the challenge for both teams.
Felix, will you hand that to Adam Zagoria, please? And then we'll go back.
Hey, Matt. Adam Zagoria, how are you?
Good.
A bunch of coaches still in the tournament played at the schools they're coaching. You played at Purdue, Hubert, UNC, and some of these guys also played in the NBA. Hubert, Penny was in the tournament, Juwan Howard. Do you notice kind of a trend of more schools hiring famous NBA alums, and how appealing is that for the kids who obviously all want to get to the NBA to learn from guys like that?
Right. Well, I think, just the passion you have for your alma mater. wanting to see Purdue win. Even if I wasn't the coach at Purdue, I'd want to see Purdue win and be successful and continue to do the right things. But yeah, I think when you're looking from a recruiting standpoint, it's how can you help young men develop to where they want to go and reach their goals. Now these guys are on the different end of that. They've been in the NBA, they've played in the NBA. Now that's really their track record going forward once they're in college. Like, what did they do to help those guys? Sometimes when you have guys for 9 months, like, you helped them, but it's such a short window. A lot of those are the overly talented guys that leave early. But when you have guys for 3, 4, 5 years, and then they develop into an NBA player, I think that's what you're looking for. And that's where we've been. Like, we've had one McDonald's All-American in 17 years, but yet we've been pretty successful. And you go look at people that consistently have McDonald's All-Americans outside of 4 or 5 people, and then you see our success versus their success, and plus we graduate our guys. We just have a great balance at Purdue. I know I'm making my recruiting speech to people right now, but it's what it's about. Like, having 2 dreams is what it's about, and not having a narrow vision. And if you can understand that a college scholarship have helped so many kids, that's why I fight, and I don't like the one-time transfer, because I think it's foolish. I think it can help individual kids. I think it's the right move for certain individuals, but when you throw a lot of data out and you have 360 teams and you have 13 scholarship players, at the end of the day, aren't we trying to help them have a better life through this opportunity? And I always talk about myself and if I would have stumbled and things would have happened, everybody in my family went to college, from aunts to uncles to whatever. You take some people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that don't have as many resources and they transfer 3 times. Who have they been loyal to? Who have they really been loyal to? So who's going to be there for them going forward in life? Because that's the whole thing, having a better life through an opportunity. And those are the things that we got to look at. Those are the things that we got to be better at, because that's what it is. It's like going to the Army or going to the Navy or doing whatever, and now that's really helped you and gave you that discipline. And that's what it is, man. Giving those guys discipline and having fun and having a great experience. But if they're bouncing around all the time, you got to live 2 dreams, man. You got to live a dream through basketball, but you got to live. If you get a chance to live a dream through education, and then you have a whole institution that's going to help you the rest of your life, man, that seems intelligent to me.
Tom Bruce, Sports Illustrated, Purdue. Matt, you guys have been to 4 Sweet 16s in the last 5 years. Outside of the games last weekend and the games this weekend, how much does all of that experience help in regards just to sort of dealing with Monday through Friday?
Yeah, it's a great point. What I've really gotten to after the Big Ten tournament and after our 2 games is to make sure I spend the next day watching us. And everybody's like, get ready for your opponent, because Yale's a good opponent, or Texas is a good opponent, or Virginia Tech's a good opponent. They're all good opponents. But the most important team in the tournament is your team. And so just locking in to making sure that we're not making the same mistakes or magnifying the good things that we're doing, and really being encouraging to our guys, like, we're doing some really good things here. But it gets lost in winning. You're making mistakes when you win, and you're doing some really, really good things when you lose. And just trying to have that balance and understand your team, then really diving in, to your opponent and seeing where you can have some advantages with it. But just keeping it process-based and not jumping over it, and not worried about some of the questions you guys have asked about numbers or underdogs or Cinderellas or whatever. Just focusing on St. Peter's and just how good of a team they are. Because if you don't, they're going to beat you. I think they've proven that.
Adam in the back.
Hi, Matt. Adam Kilgore with the Washington Post. You've had in your program 3 guys 7'2" or taller, and another one coming next year, which seems like more than a coincidence. In knowing you've had a lot of really good big men who are more like standard, 7-footers or 6'10s, like is there something about that exceptionally tall player that's in a particular fit with your system or your philosophy?
Yeah. Well, obviously it happens initially organically when you first start. Our first big guy that I coached here that was a good player was Carl Landry, and he was a traditional 4 in the NBA. And then it just grew from Juwan Johnson, A.J. Hammonds, Isaac Haas, Caleb Swanigan, now Trevion Williams, Zach Edey. I'm probably missing somebody in there somewhere. I didn't want to leave anybody out. But it just kind of happened. And Purdue has played inside out. If you look in the 80s, with Russell Cross, Jim Rowinski, Melvin McCants, Steve Scheffler, into the 90s, like they had Brad Miller. And so like when you look at some of those guys already, so Purdue's had a great experience of having a really good size. Obviously, Joe Barry Carroll, last time we went to the Final Four in 1980, was the #1 pick in the draft. Glenn Robinson wasn't a traditional post like that, but he was a big guy, especially in college. So the more success you can have with something and now being able to show them, it's like every coach in America 15 years ago would say, hey, we're going to run the basketball, we're pushing the basketball, we play an exciting brand of ball. And then the next coach would say the same thing. Then the next coach would say the same thing. Well, you all are, not everybody's doing that. But that's what's appealing to a recruit's ear, right? They want to hear that. Well, now analytically, you see numbers and you see things. So you can present this to them and say, hey, we were the second best team in the country last year at throwing the ball inside. And like you'll see other schools that are recruiting them that don't ever throw the ball inside. They might dive to the rim and get the ball in a lob or something of that nature. And so we've been able to have guys with that kind of size, but also analytically show them, hey, you're going to get the ball here. Like you're going to get the ball in low post positions. You're going to get the ball in dive positions. We're not just going to use you as a guy that defends and rebounds and sets ball screens and that's it, even though all three of those things are very important parts of the game. And then we show them the evolution of really their decision making. That's the difference. You really got to work with big guys on their decision making more than anything. Because we all get frustrated with big guys. You throw them the ball, they drop it. Okay, I'm never throwing it to you again. Throw the ball to them, they throw it away. I'm never throwing it to you again. Even though that guard turns it over 3.5 times a game, that's the way guards think. They just, well, we won't throw it to him. Well, we're opposite of that. We've been able to grow with that. We've been able to learn. Each one of our big guys, especially guys like Zach, that cause different problems, it really teaches us a lot because the defenses throw a lot of different looks at them, and then you're able to manipulate that defense and kind of play what you want. But then it's just kind of grown from there. And, guys see that this is a great place to get an education, but it's also a great place for a 7-footer.
I think we have time for one more up front.
Hey, Coach. Taylor Tannenbaum from WTHR in Indy. You mentioned your 3 leaders and how close they were to making it to the Final Four. To watch them as a coach go from those guys coming off the bench back then and to where they are now,
right.
How cool is that for you? And the second part of that is, it's one thing for you as a coach to preach to them about this tournament and what they need to do, but how have you seen them kind of step up, maybe even in just the last couple weeks, that trio preach to their own players and their own people, hey, this is what we need to do. I've been here before.
Yeah, well, one of them was first team All-League last year, and it was 6th man of the year this year. So he's made a lot of sacrifices to help our team win, and Trevion Williams. Eric Hunter didn't start the first half of the season, and now he has started here. And so, they've had true tests of their character, and are you really wanting to do what's best for the team? And they have proven that. Sasha Stefanovic had no high major offers. I told him if he comes, he's going to have to redshirt. He's still, he wanted to be at Purdue, and those guys have proven that they've wanted to stay at Purdue. I always say everybody has a reason to leave, but if you stay and you fight, the rewards are going to be a lot higher if there's nothing wrong, and there's nothing wrong with adversity. And these guys have handled adversity and they've pushed through. And that's why they'll be successful. Whether we win or lose our next game or not, these guys are all going to be successful, get their degrees at Purdue, and just happy for them. They've done a great job for our program.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Best of luck tomorrow.
All right, thank you.